Hello, and welcome to Cup to Hook Movie Night, Longmire Season 2, Episodes 8 and 9. Episode 8 is called The Great Spirit, and Episode 9 is called Tuscan Red. Hello, everyone. Hey, Jen. Did you get something to eat? I am trying to finish up my dinner. Jen says we had Taco Bell. That's actually what I had last night. I had a Nacho Bell Grande. Hey, Roseanne. Roseanne says, hi, everybody. So while we're waiting for everyone to come on, I'm just going to share a couple things that I have forgotten throughout today to share. And Jen says, hi, Roseanne. Tomorrow, if you will, be looking for a very special video to go out for Christy Turley's birthday. And please be sure and go on and wish her a happy birthday. Grandma Anna, hi. She says, hi, everyone. Hugs. And so not only did I want to mention her birthday tomorrow and that video will be coming out, so hopefully y'all can go on and wish her a happy birthday. But Jen says, hi, Grandma Anna. I got a phone call this afternoon from Sylvia Olivo. And Roseanne says, hi, Grandma Anna. And she was back at the ER. And we got off the phone because the nurse called her name. So I have not heard back from her. So please keep her in your prayers. She said she was there. Her left leg was really swollen and in a lot of pain. Grandma Anna says, hi, Jen and Roseanne. Hugs. So talk to me about the blanket. Where is everyone at? I know some of you are still trying to play catch up, and I do greatly appreciate the pictures. I have been able to go browse through my emails, and I've seen all the pictures you've sent. And now when I finish with this live, I'm going to take some time and answer all those emails. So I've now actually officially been through all of my emails. All right. Jen says, I'm behind, but I'm okay with that. Yeah, like I told you, Jen, the episode coming out Monday and the episode coming out the next week are all very simple, very small segments. So you will be good. You will be good. So take your time. We've got plenty of time. We're still only in the second season. We've got 6 seasons to go. I mean, we're going to finish that blanket, I'm pretty sure, well before we finish, Longmire. So we've got time. So, and with the holidays coming up, there may even be, a week or two that we may even take a break. So we'll see. Grandma Anna says, ugh, I restarted the arrows rows. Okay. But I hope that it's not frustrating though. but talk to me, because I do have some ideas for going forward, and your feedback is important. And I apologize. I've been eating pizza. The husband made pizza. He made it. That's what's left of that piece. And there's spices on it. And I'm drinking my coffee still with it. Not exactly the best combination. It matters. It matters what your comments and your feedback are on some of the things that I look at doing going forward, and how I do it, how I approach it. So your feedback is extremely, extremely important. Let's see. Roseanne says, I'm at row 38. I've watched all the tutorials and wrote down the directions to follow up. Super. Good. Jen says, that's a big thing for me. I used to always freak out if I ran behind. Oh, I got you. And I would be the same way, Jen, but I'm going to be honest. Something happened to me in 2020. Like, even with my podcast, like I really would have normally stressed out because I told everyone my pocket shawl was coming out Wednesday. But then when everything happened to me it started on Sunday. I began kind of losing my eyesight on Sunday, and it took me till Monday, practically losing it, to realize it had to have been that new medication, and I quit taking it. And it's taken till today, really, for me to fully kind of gain it back. Like I look and I can still see some spots of blurriness, especially if I try to look at my peripheral still, but I'm getting it fully back. But the point of the matter of what I'm trying to say is I would have normally just really stressed out and beat myself up over the fact that I didn't get it out. But in the end, what I decided to do was crochet. And so I started making a whole different pocket shawl so that I can show a variation, and I'm okay with it. Everybody's world is not going to end if Cynthia's version of the pocket shawl doesn't get out there. And same thing with the blanket. The world's not going to end if you're not up to where we are. And to be honest, like I said, the holidays are coming up. So there's going to be a lot going on. And we may not always have that time, that extra time, to do each segment every week. And so it's okay. And I kind of have an idea of something coming up with it and one of the upcoming segments that may give you an opportunity to help catch up. But whether it does or it doesn't, I'm so proud of you, because do not stress. This is all supposed to be fun and relaxing. And the moment it becomes stressful, then I'm not doing something right for y'all. So, Jen says, are you writing up the pattern as you go? Yes, ma'am. I am. It's not beautiful, but I am. It is definitely. But yes, I am. So. Roseanne says, or dude God, your site came back. Oh, praise God, your site came back. Yes. I guess because the blood pressure and the sugar got so high. I don't know. But anyway, That is yesterday, and I am in today. So that's all that matters. Yes, and giving him the praise. All right. Grandma Anna says, I'm so happy you're okay now. Thank you. Jen says, I'm on row 47. And Roseanne says, nice, Jen. And I'm just looking real quick. So that puts you in part 8, Jen. Okay. And that's something else I'm doing is as I'm writing it, I'm also over here on the side, excuse me, putting what part that is. And that way too, if anyone has questions and they ask me through comment or email or call me, that I can readily pick this up and hopefully help them right away. But if not, then I know which video to go back and watch to answer their question. Grandma Anna says, I don't mind starting the rows over. I rushed, and that was what messed me up. Gotcha. I will tell you on that one in particular, I found it easier if I had it on a table. And so I didn't necessarily sit at my craft table the entire time I did it. I put like a TV tray in front of the recliner and had it up on that TV tray and did it. That way I was also able, as I was pulling my, yarn either vertically down or vertically up, then it made it a lot easier because it was sitting versus me holding it. And then again, it helped once I realized, even though I knew I was laying it horizontally, for some reason, the brain was not computing that to the lips to y'all. So I apologize for that. Jen says, are you going to put it out to sell it? The pattern or my blanket? I'm assuming you're talking about the pattern. And I haven't decided yet. I'll be honest, I've not sold any of my patterns. All my patterns that I've created to date, I have pretty much been doing tutorials on. I am working on a website that I can start putting things up. I was looking more at, maybe things I make to sell, but I haven't thought about patterns yet. So I don't know. That's still a thought process. I haven't quite got there yet. Viola, hello. She says, you're right. Every day and moment is precious, and we do what we can. Stressing just makes things less enjoyable. Relax and do what we can. Absolutely. And to be honest, Viola and everyone, my channel, yes, I want to be able to bring stuff to you guys, and I want to do it consistently. But at the end of the day, when I have people come hang out with me, I want it to be everything but stress. I want it to be a place of safety, where you can be your absolute 100% beautiful self. Come as you are. If it's a bad day, it's a bad day. Let us be there to pick you up. If it's a good day, then help me pick others up. Same thing with our crocheting. I want it to be peaceful and relaxing and fun. And, we have those days where we just can't get something, or like me with that pocket shawl. I frogged it 8 times before I finally figured out what I was envisioning. And the great thing about it is, even though it was a little bit frustrating, it wasn't like frustrating. The frustrating part was I wasn't getting the picture of what I wanted in my mind out through my hands so that I could get it to you guys. And at this moment, I still don't have it. I've been working and designing that pocket shawl for probably a good 4 months now. And, but I know that now when it finally comes out, it will have been worth it because I will feel like I have completely given you my best. So it shouldn't be a stressful process. It should be fun, you know? It's fun to create things. And so you're right, Viola. It should not be stressful. And that's the same thing with you guys. Anything that we do, you know, I don't ever want it to be stressful. You know, just like I tell people, even if you're not watching Longmire, just come hang out with us. Just have something that is safe, clean, fun, and a bunch of friends hanging out with friends. And let's just crochet together. I am really doing a lot of brainstorming for 2021. There are going to be some new and exciting things coming, but they're going to be laid back. And that's what I want it to be. Jen says, hi, Viola. Denny says, thank you, Lord, for your faithfulness. Amen. Amen. And Jen says, hi, Denny. Roseanne says, amen, Denny. Roseanne says, hi, Viola. Jen says, pattern. That's what I thought you were talking about. Jen says, I'm not great at writing out the patterns I use, but I would love to have this one as it is my first cow. All right. Let me get my handy dandy notebook, and I'll write that down, Jen. And that might be something I can do too. When I do the Longmire giveaway, I could even include that pattern as part of the giveaway. All right. Denny says, hi, Roseanne. Roseanne says, hi, Denny. Viola says, hi, Jen and Roseanne. All right. So I did do research, like I said I would. And I went and looked, and the earliest date that I could find on when the first midwife blanket was made, and Jen, if you will help us out, because I know you know the official name. I think there was a different name. They didn't call it the midwife blanket. It was called something else, and I think you were the one who was telling us about that. And I'm going to apologize to y'all. I think it's still side effects of this medicine that I'm trying to get out of my system, but it has created a lot of pain in my chest and my shoulders, and I keep getting these sharp pains, so just bear with me. But the earliest to date that I could find was it came out in 1960. So, all right. Now I have some pictures. So it was called the midwife. Hey, Dana. Everyone, Dana is here with us with Triple C and Joe Show. And she says hello to everyone. So, Jen, I thought there was another name for it besides the midwife blanket. Denny says, hi, Dana and Joe. Grandma Anna says, you should go get checked by a doctor. Shoulder and chest can be a heart issue. Grandma Anna, I am. Next week, I have a follow-up with my doctor, and I also have the nerve testing going on. So I'm good. This here is what the actual midwife blanket will look like. That's the actual design of the midwife blanket. Jen says, hi, Dana. Roseanne says, hi, Dana. Grandma Anna says, hi, all. Viola says, hi, Dana. Jen says, I think it's just called the midwife. Okay, okay. Then here's the midwife blanket with the dragonfly. So here's the original, and that's the dragonfly. And then I told you that I had seen one done as a butterfly, and that was the best picture I could get of it. So let me show you the difference between the dragonfly and the butterfly. If you notice, they look very similar. The only difference is on the dragonfly, as you can see, like right here, there's like the little antennas. The wings are a lot wider there. Then there's these small wings and then like a tail. On the butterfly one, I can't see, there's no antennas. And then the wings are much wider at that very bottom, like down here. And there's no little tail. So see the difference? So that's what we're going to have to decide when we go to do Call the Midwife. Of course, you know, we still got a little over 4 seasons till that happens. So it'll definitely be the first of the year before we start the midwife. But everybody will need to tell me what you like. And Grandma Anna, I'm going to go ahead and start taking down your thoughts. Like Grandma Anna says, well, Roseanne says, I like it. Grandma Anna says, I like the original best. I will do whatever everyone else wants, though. So, and probably what I'll do is maybe do a swatch of all 3 when the time comes. And we'll just do like a little panel video poll. And you guys can all tell me which one you would prefer to do. And to reassure y'all, because you always see me writing and taking notes, literally after every show, I go and put those notes where they need to be. I am excessively, compulsively, extremely regurgitating organized. Like, it drives everyone insane. But that's me. Denny says, the Call the Midwife is beautiful. I just don't like putting a lot of things together. Laugh out loud. Hey, V. How are you, my friend? And she says, hello, y'all. Jen says, you choose. I love them all. Jen says, hi, V. Grandma Anna says, hola, Miss V. You didn't go camping? Were you going camping? Oh, I would have had to jump in the vehicle and go with you. I love to camp. Denny says, Veronica, hi, hun. V says, hi, Jen. Roseanne says, hi, Ver. V says, hello, Grandma Anna. Viola says, hi, V. Hi, Veronica. V says, hi, Denisha. So those are the 3. So I'm going to show them to you one more time. That's the original midwife blanket. That's the dragonfly. And that's the butterfly. And again, like I said, before it comes time, probably as soon as we start season 6 of Longmire, I will go ahead and start getting this stuff out because, you know, part of the Longmire giveaway will be yarn for this blanket. Or we talked about, everybody kind of had an idea of what yarn they were already going to use that they already had. And if that becomes the case, then I'll just get something else to add to the Longmire paraphernalia that I've already bought. So, all right. So be thinking about which one you would like to do. Grandma Anna says, I love to camp, but can't anymore due to being on oxygen. Well, yeah, that would make it kind of difficult, wouldn't it? How about day outings? Is it easy for you to get out and do day outings, maybe like a picnic or something? I know my mom's on oxygen, and it really does limit what you're able to do. Especially right now with COVID, it's kind of hard to want to get out. But V says, hi, Viola. Jen says, Denny, it's done by Rose. Oh, yes, Jen. Thank you for completing a thought. Yes, Denny, it is done by Rose. In fact, there will be very few tutorials on it because you'll just repeat. So probably what we'll do during that time when we have a situation like that, and that's what our project is just repeat rows. Probably what I'll do is just come together with you and we'll just kind of hang out and talk and crochet, kind of like we do on answering the questions. But we're just going to hang out and talk about something yarny. Denny says, Jen, I don't even like sewing rows. And Deborah says, hi, all. I'm back late, but here. Hey, Deborah. So we have just been discussing more about the midwife blanket, that the earliest date that we saw that it was created was 1960. And then real quick, I showed the examples that I looked up. That's what an original midwife blanket looks like. That's what a dragonfly midwife blanket looks like. And that's what the butterfly looks like. All right. And then we talked a little bit about the Longmire blanket, up to date. Grandma Anna says, welcome, Deborah. Roseanne says, hi, Deborah. Grandma Anna says, I'm making my midwife blanket for my niece. And I think that's wonderful. We all know who I'm making mine for. My granddaughter, of course. Grandma Anna says, yes, I can do that. Oh, that's good. That's good. Because that helps. It helps to be able to get out and get some fresh air. Of course, the weather's changing. I'm not quite sure what the weather is, at this current moment where you're at. Here in South Carolina, it can't seem to make up its mind. One minute it wants to be cold, and then the next minute it's back in the 80s. So, it's hard to figure out. So, Jen says, Mike wants to know what the men get in the giveaway. Well, kind of what I've already gotten is not really gender particular. So, and if he doesn't crochet, well, he can give it to you. But the paraphernalia is not gender specific. So that's all I'm going to say. So, Viola says, hi, Deborah. Denny says that blanket is on my list. It's way at the bottom. So eventually, Denny, hopefully it will shoot somewhere to the top at the beginning of next year when we start watching Call the Midwife and start working on it as a crochet along. Sorry, my chat's jumping. All right, there we go. Jen says, Denny, no sewing. I can't do that. Yeah, there's no sewing in this blanket. So now I can't say eventually we may not make something that doesn't have us piece pieces together. But if that's the case, I promise you, I will show you a way to do it that is not only easy and sturdy, but fun, and it doesn't feel like sewing. I promise. Grandma Anna says, oh, I have a praise. My son works for the sheriff office and spent last Thursday all day in his office, and that night the sheriff popped positive for COVID. What? Wait a minute. Let me reread that. Oh, I have a praise. My son works for the sheriff office and spent last Thursday all day in his office, and that night the sheriff popped positive for COVID. I'm kind of lost. I mean, I'm assuming the praise is that he was in the sheriff's office and he's COVID free, but we definitely will pray for the sheriff that tested positive. And Jen says, hi, Deborah. Grandma Anna says, my son was just tested. Oh, okay. So here we go. And doesn't have COVID. So that's the praise. Okay. Gotcha. But we will definitely be praying for the sheriff. All right. Deborah says, I think the original pattern. So Deborah voted for the original as well. All right. And Denny says, hang on, gotta move my things up here. Anna, praise God. Yes. Jen says, yay, Grandma Anna. V says, we've canceled the camping because I was not ready. I need time to get everything ready, but see y'all Sunday at 6:30. Yes, everyone go and check out V's show at 6:30 on Sunday. V, I will be heading into work, but I have discovered that I can still pull YouTube up on my work computer. So provided that I don't go in straight away and start checking in patients, I will pull you up. But I only work every other Sunday, so I will catch it on the opposite Sundays for sure. Denny says, I love the butterflies. They work up quickly. All right, so Denny says butterflies. All right. Viola says, happy to hear your son is fine, Grandma Anna. Absolutely. Yes. Jen says, I love it. Roseanne says, thank God for Grandma Anna's son. Yes. V says, this Monday we'll announce who will be the winners. If you have not participated yet, you have time to participate. So, V, if you have an opportunity to, let's see. Yep, you are. To pop that link in the chat here, go ahead. And Roseanne says, I like the dragonflies pattern. Roseanne. Likes the dragonflies. Grandma says, I will be there, V. So Grandma Anna's coming, V, on Sunday. And V says, okay. All right. So anything else before we get started with our episodes on the Longmire blanket itself, the midwife blanket, any other news anybody wants to share? In case I haven't told you, my biggest news that I've learned in the last week, and I'm not sure where all I've shared it. You know, I didn't share it on the conversations video. Oh, well. My son and daughter have decided on a name for my grandbaby, so I know my grandbaby's name. It is Violet Wolfe, Wolfe, Owens. So, and she'll be called Violet. So I'm excited. Oh, there's the link. V put the link in. So everyone go check out her giveaway. And also her shows on Sundays are great. I love her son, Alex. So go check her out. Be sure and give her a thumbs up. I'd appreciate some thummies tonight too, if you don't mind. And if you've not thrown yarn in her window, which means subscribe, please do so. Show her some love and support. Oh, thank you, Grandma Anna. She says, beautiful name. Grandma Anna says, please throw yarn in V's window. Yes, please throw some yarn in V's window. Triple C, which is Miss Dana, says, hey, V. Or, excuse me, says, hey, everyone, I miss. And then she says, hey, V. And Jen says, throw yarn. Ooh, ooh. And Christy says, hi, y'all. Hey, Christy. All right. So the second thing I want to tell you is V says, hi, Joe. I got a call today from my Marine son, and he is coming home. So I am very, very excited. I will physically see him 2 weeks from tomorrow. I'm so happy. I miss him so much. So anyway, I will be in that airport ready to go. Dana says, hey, Christy. Jen says, hi, Christy. Jen says, hey, Joe. Roseanne says, hi, Christy. Grandma Anna says, woot. And V says, don't forget. And I appreciate that. And Christy says, awesome. Roseanne says, yay. So yeah, all in the time frame he's supposed to be here. My son's supposed to be here. Is also the time when my grandbaby's supposed to be born. And my husband and I are going to try to take a very quick trip to Florida to pick up some baby things from some family members for the kids. So yeah, a lot of things are going to be happening. So anyway, all right. And before I forget, so that after our questions, I don't forget, and while I still have everybody, mark your calendars, because during Thanksgiving weekend, let me grab my planner book. That Friday, we will not be meeting. So, of course, Thanksgiving is on Thursday the 26th. So Friday the 27th, we will not be meeting. So we will not have movie night that Friday. We will still have our Fun Day Monday Longmire segment of the tutorial that following Monday. We just won't come together that Friday. And there probably won't be an extra section put out that Friday. So that'll give everybody a chance to get caught up as well. So, so that Friday, November 27th, we will not meet. And I'll remind you again over the next 2 weeks. So, and part of that is because I'll be with my Marine son, and then my husband and I will also be getting on the road to go to Florida. So, and it's Thanksgiving, and we should spend that time with our families. So, all right. So it looks like we're all caught up on our comments. All right. You ready? Episode 8. It was called The Great Spirit. There's no right or wrong answer to this first question. It's your opinion. Was Branch really sick? Christy says, my son is coming home for Christmas. Haven't seen him since last Christmas. Oh, wow. So real quick, Christy, where's your son at? Wait, I know the answer to that. Because we prayed for him. Make sure I'm not I've got like 4 Christies. So let me just make sure I got my Christies straight. Oh, Grandma Anna, I am so sorry to hear that. She says she won't be on all night. My arm and shoulder's hurting. Not that you won't be on with us, but that your arm and shoulder are hurting. All right. I apologize, Christy. That was another Christy. All right. He lives in Arizona. That's where my Marine son's coming from. He's coming from Yuma, Arizona. Yes, he has COVID and recovered fine. Oh, praise the Lord. Yes, Viola says, Grandma Anna, sorry to hear about your arm and shoulder. Okay. Chrissy says, back to movie night. Didn't mean to interrupt. You are fine, love. You are fine. We were able to find out about Grandma Anna so that I could add her to the prayer list. So it worked out just fine. All right. Question number 1. Is Branch sick? When it starts off. Jen says no. Grandma Anna says laugh out loud, no. Roseanne says no. Yeah, I don't think he was sick either. But then we go into Walt lassoing that horse. And I didn't write a question. This is what I wrote. How about Walt lassoing that horse? Sexy. That was pretty good. Jen says nice. All right, question number 3. Walt and Henry are walking away from the scene, and Henry asks or mentions to Walt that he seems more irritated than usual with Branch. And why? He was asking him, why are you more irritated with Branch than usual? Do you know what Walt said? Grandma Anna says that was uber sexy. It really was. So why did Walt say that he was extra annoyed with Branch? Yes, Roseanne says he's not doing his job. Jen says he wasn't performing his duties. And Grandma Anna says he is more worried about election than his job. And that's exactly true. He said Branch is concerned more about the election than doing his job. It's a good job. Number 4, Henry and Walt followed the drag marks to where? When they followed the drag marks from the body being dragged by the horse, it led them to what? V says, no, he's doing his job. Grandma Anna says, a farm. Jen says, rodeo ring. Roseanne says, to the rodeo track circle. Yes, so it leads them to the makeshift arena from where they were doing the rodeo. All right, number 5. Why did Walt say people don't set the radios up in town? They have to deal with what 5 things? Grandma Anna says, duh, a rodeo circle. Yes. So there were 5 things that they would have to deal with if they set these radios up in town. So because of these 5 things was why they were kind of illegally doing them out in the middle of nowhere. Yes, Roseanne, one of them is permits. Jen says licenses and permissions. So we'll take that under the permits and the rules. Grandma Anna says IRS, FBI, HIM, and Labor Board and insurance. All right, so we've got them covered. So it's permits, rules, insurance. There is one y'all haven't mentioned. And yes, Grandma Anna, you said it. Him, meaning Walt. So permits, rules, insurance, Walt, and there was one more. And it was the Humane Society because of the horses. So the reason they don't do them in town is permits, rules, insurance, Humane Society, and Walt Longmire. All right, question 6. Walt did not tell the foreman about the dead body or murder. Why? He gave kind of 2 reasons. He says if he did, there are 2 things that would start to disappear. And what would those 2 things be? I'm going to crochet while I'm sitting here doing this. What's wrong with me? Jen says withheld information. Roseanne says the workers and the suspects. Grandma Anna says rodeo. Jen says they'll talk more if not accused. All right, so the 2 things that he said would disappear if he had told them about it was evidence and witnesses. So y'all were on the right line. Question 7. How did Branch take care of the situation with Travis? So Walt has sent, in the end, because he got called away, he was trying to take care of Travis and repossess his trailer when he got the call about the body being drugged by the horse. So he sends Branch to take care of it. And how does Branch handle it? Jen says gave him money. Good job, Jen. Look at you. I see you. She even gave the exact amount that Branch gave him, which was $700. Grandma Anna had it too. Gave him $700. Roseanne says he gave the check to him to pay the mortgage. And Viola says loan him the money. That's right. He wrote him a check to cover the debt or the payment that needed to be made to get it caught up. So why did he do this? Why did Branch do that? Roseanne says to be nice. Jen says to buy his vote. Viola says they were friends. Roseanne says to win a vote. Grandma Anna says so his friend's RV wouldn't be repoed. And those are all very true. That you got them all right. First off and foremost, they were friends in school. So they've known each other. They've grown up together. Number 2, he didn't want his friend to lose his only home. But even more selfishly, it was to buy his vote, to get him on his side for the election, and also to help him with rodeo information, like when the next illegal rodeo was going to be. And that was so he could actually have kind of one up on Walt. Because, you know, even when he came to Walt about the next rodeo, he was like, my connections. And so I'm telling you, these little digs that these guys have going on with each other. Whew. All right. So question 9, who was the dead man? Do you remember what his name was? Or what his position was? Let's see. Deborah says, must be cloudy, storming here, buffering, skipping and lagging here. Well, hopefully we're back. Roseanne says Griffin. Roseanne says foreman. Yes, he was a foreman. Jen says the horseman shooter foreman. Yes, you're correct. He's the one that was shooting the cigars in the out the mouth and shot the guy in the cheek. Yes, Deborah, for more information on the radios, that's exactly why he helped Travis out. Grandma Anna says the brother of the owner, head of hiring for casino. Grandma Anna, I think that is part of episode 9 that you're talking about. Because that's Ethan in the next episode that you're talking, or that you've just mentioned. It's all right. All right. Let's see. And his name was Titus Griffin. And so question number 10, what did Mr. Fryer say most of the workers were? This was the guy that Walt went to talk to. And he said most of the guys were what? It happens a lot in a lot of our stores during the holidays. There's a lot of extra workers added on because they're considered what? You guys are saying legal and illegal. Both of that's true, and you're saying illegal. What I was going for was seasonal. He said that they were seasonal. So they weren't like, hired on all the time. Of course, we learn more about why they're seasonal. Question 11. What did Walt give Vic and Branch at the rodeo? He handed them each something. What did he give them? Yes, Grandma Anna, the company said legal workers, but really they were illegal. Really, it was human trafficking in a sense. They won them over thinking they were coming over to get jobs and papers to buy land, but instead their families were split up. Yes. So what did Walt hand Branch and Vic at the rodeo? He gave them each something. It was the same thing, but okay. He gave them copies of picture IDs of the workers so that they could look for these people amongst the crowd to try and get some of them to question them. So he gave them copies of their IDs. Jen says question marks. Grandma Anna says ID of foreman. Roseanne says question marks. Grandma Anna says copies of foreman's driver's license. And Jen says yes. Okay. All right. So we have this little episode here where Vic starts flirting with this guy. Jen says, nice, Grandma Anna. And so she's flirting with him. And what item did she ask him where he bought? She asked him where he bought something. What was it? She did, didn't she, Grandma Anna? She says, Grandma Anna says, laugh out loud. She put her ring in her back pocket. Jen, yes. Gun holster. Grandma Anna, his holster. Roseanne, the holster. Yes, she asked him about his holster. And what did she say she was into? What did she use as a reason why she was asking him about his holster? She said she was into something. What was it? Yes, Roseanne, Jen, and Grandma Anna and Roseanne, you all said leather. Yeah, she told him she was into leather. And what did he tell her? Where did he tell her he got it, you know? Roseanne says question marks. Jen says man and crew made it for him. He told her a local man named Javier Hernandez made it for me. Grandma Anna says he told her she could have his number. Roseanne says, right, Jen? So the next question is, what did she ask him for next? It has to do with Javier. What did she ask him for of Javier's? Grandma Anna says the guy's phone number. Roseanne, his number. Jen, his number. Yes, she asked him for Javier's phone number because she said she might be interested in a holster. But what did the man say? He said he didn't have Javier's number, but he could give her, as Grandma Anna's already told us, he could give her his number. All right. Yes. Roseanne said his number. So question 17, what happened when Branch asked the guys who were in charge? Wait a minute. What happened when Branch asked the guy who was in charge? Okay, sorry. What happened when Branch asked, who's the guy in charge because I might want to ride? How did they respond? Remember when Branch walked up to the corral, he looked over and he saw a group of guys and he walked over and said, who's in charge? And they asked why, and he said, because I might want to ride. Grandma Anna says they outed him and ran off. Roseanne says Greenhoe. Jen says the sheriff, they knew him. Roseanne, he was famous. Jen says he's famous. Yeah, they began laughing because they recognized who he was. And they were like, you're Branch Connolly. You're running for sheriff. Roseanne, what do you mean by gringo? Gringo. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, my bad. My bad. She's saying gringo is a slang Spanish term for white people. And Roseanne says the expression of an American. Jen says the guy called Branch gringo. Ah, got you. See, y'all caught something I didn't catch. Sweet. All right. Question 18. Why did Walt tell Branch to stay behind at the station when he and Vic went to find Javier? Oh, you have to love Walt. Sometimes his little dry sense of humor. Roseanne says thanks. So why did Walt tell Branch to stay behind at the station? while he and Vic went to go find Javier. Roseanne says, oh, Jen says, make sure he felt okay. And Roseanne says, so he can work. Grandma Anna says, in case he still felt sick. You know, those are all really good answers. But Walt took a dig at him. He said, his exact words were, you can stay here because you've had enough exposure for one night. Meaning that everybody was recognizing him for running for sheriff. So Branch turns around, puts his hat, he had gone to put his hat on his head. He takes it, puts it down on Walt's desk, turns around and sits down in Walt's chair and goes, yeah. Jen says, yep. All right. Question 9, hang on. Question 19. What do you think Vic was thinking when Walt asked her to wait outside while he talked to Henry? So as Vic and Walt are leaving, Henry's coming up the stairs, and he says he just walks right on past Vic and says, I need to talk to you in private. So Vic turns around and looks at Walt, and Walt says, Vic, go on outside and I'll meet you out there in a minute. And she doesn't say anything, but you can tell when she kind of turns on her heels to go down the steps or the stairs that she was really not happy. But what was your thought on what was going through her head? What do you think she was thinking? Yeah, Jen, she wanted to know what they were going to talk about. I mean, it must have been pretty secretive for Henry to say he needed to talk to him in private, and she couldn't hear because, I mean, let's face it, in the sheriff's office, they're a pretty close-knit family. I mean, everybody pretty much knows what's going on. That's right, Grandma Anna. Friends and their secrets. All right. Let's see. So when Vic and Walt and the foreman that we know as Cal get to the barracks where the workers are sleeping, where were they? Where were the workers? That's right, Jen. They ran off. Grandma Anna, they were gone. Roseanne, they were gone. And at that point, we didn't know where they were. But they didn't pack everything up because if you notice when they panned across the room and stuff, there was still stuff there like the muddy boots and stuff. So it was like they left kind of quickly too, though, it seemed like. Which we now know that Cal knew they weren't going to be there. And we know that he knew where they were or had an idea where they were. All right, the next question. Did Walt or Henry? Oh, okay. So, you know, this kind of comes back to Walt and Henry talking. And we've kind of talked about this, so it's just kind of a thought that's back out there. No right or wrong answer. Did Walt or Henry kill Walt's wife's murderer? All right, Grandma Anna says, okay, all hugs, but I need to take pain med and go to bed. We love you, Grandma Anna. I do hope you feel better, love, and I hope the medicine helps and get a good night's rest. That will help a lot in itself. And I'm so glad you came and hung out with us for a little bit. I just hate that you're not feeling well. Jen says, good night and feel better, Grandma Anna. Roseanne says, good night, Grandma Anna. Jen says Henry, I think. Viola says sleep well. Yeah, Jen, I'm kind of with you. Because Roseanne says she thinks Henry too. Because we see where Walt comes and knocks on Henry's hotel door, and his back is covered in blood. We know that Ada Black Kettle sews his back up, and so I'm thinking maybe something happened, and because Walt got hurt, maybe it was by Walt's wife's murderer that then Henry went and put an end to it. But yeah, I definitely think Henry is the guilty party. And another reason I say that, and of course this is all assumption because I don't know. I have not gone past episode 9 of season 2. Just following clues. The way Henry approached Walt in the stairwell at the sheriff's office, saying, we need to talk. We need to make sure our stories are completely accurate of that night, because one slight adjustment to the story and Fail's going to know. So Henry is really wanting to make sure his butt's covered. And that's kind of what the impression I got. So I guess we'll just keep asking that question until we know, right? All right. So now we have Henry and Fails talking in the Red Pony at the bar. And what did Detective Fails tell Henry about a case once it's in his head? What did he say happens once a case gets into his head? That's right, Jen. He doesn't let it go. That he stays on it until he gets it figured out. And he was telling Henry, I may not have been on it then, but I'm on it now. That's right, Roseanne. He can't stop thinking about it. That's right. All right. Question number 23. Who did Henry tell Fails he went to Denver to help or check on? He said he went to Denver to help check on a friend. Roseanne says Ada. Jen says friend. Roseanne says a friend. Yes, he said he went to check on a friend, Ada Black Kettle. She's an 80-year-old woman. And that's why he was there. How did Fails even know that Walt and Henry were in Denver? What did he have that proved that they were both there? It proved that they were both there, but it did not prove that they had seen each other. He had to ask Henry if he saw Walt while he was there, and Henry said yes. But what gave it away? What proof did Fails have that they both were there? Roseanne says credit card receipts. Not sure what the last part is. Jen says cameras. Oh, she's saying credit card receipts from hotel. And Roseanne also said gas station. Yes, it was actually the gas receipts. He had gas receipts from the gas station that proved that they were both in Denver. So, yes, he had credit card receipts from the gas station. All right. Question 25. What did Walt tell Bob women love? So remember Bob and his new girl, Yolena or whatever her name was, Yenna. They were at the rodeo, and so Walt brought Bob into the rodeo, into the sheriff's office to question him. And he was trying to get a list out of him. And Bob didn't want to talk to his girlfriend about it because, he had a good thing and he didn't want to mess it up. And so to try and get him to cooperate, Walt told him that women like, Roseanne says, a hero, being a hero. And yes, that's what Walt said. Women love a hero. So was Bob able to get a list of names from her? Roseanne says yes. And he did. He sweet talked her. Jen says yes. All right, so while Walt is talking to Bob, Ferg comes in and wants to talk to Walt and says that the bank called. Why did the bank call? Why was the bank calling the sheriff's office? Jen says question marks. Roseanne says question marks. The bank was calling because they wanted to know why Walt had not taken possession of Travis's trailer yet. Or why either Travis hadn't made a payment or why they hadn't taken possession of the trailer. And of course, we know that that was somewhat of a surprise to Walt because he had left Branch to take care of it. So Branch was also surprised because he knew he had given Travis the money to do it, to make the payment. And so Branch tells Walt, well, fine then. Or, well, Walt's telling him, you can't show favors to friends. And Walt says, well, fine, he played me. So go seize the trailer. And Walt says to Branch, no, you do it. So the question is, why did Walt tell Branch to go take care of Travis? Jen says to clean up his mistakes. Viola says because he didn't do it the first time. The main reason he had him do it, he said, because if he wants to be sheriff, he has to learn not to cut corners for friends. So, but he also sent Vic with Branch when Branch went to go do it. Why did he send Vic? Vic's like, what? What did I do? Why did Walt send Vic with Branch? Roseanne says to make sure it was done, to make sure it was done. Yes, that is exactly why. Jen says to make sure he does the job right. That's right. To make sure he carries through. All right. So it comes away from all that, and now it's over to where Ferg and Walt have gone to find the workers to try and speak to Javier. And Walt turns to Ferg and he says something to Ferg. And so the question is, what did Walt say to Ferg that he never thought he would say? Hey, Kelly. Kelly says, woohoo! I just snuck in. Hello to all. So glad to have you, my friend. Glad you are here. So what did Walt say to Ferg that he thought he would never say? It had, to give you a hint, it had something to do about Branch. Jen says, hi, Kelly. Roseanne says, hi, Kelly. Viola says, hey, Kelly. Hello, Kelly. Kelly, most of these ladies are the ones that came onto your video and wished you a happy birthday. And I was telling them I've got a birthday video coming out tomorrow for Christy Turley. So everybody make sure you go say happy birthday. Shh. Hopefully it'll be a surprise for her. This was hilarious because when he said this, I was like, oh my gosh, my ears tuned up. He said to Ferg, I never thought I would say this, but I'm going to have to handle this and be more like Branch. I was like, what? Jen says, I can see them standing there, but not remembering the conversation. Yeah, he said he had to be more like Branch. So what he meant was in his approach. And so I thought that was funny. All right, question 30. Did Javier kill Titus? Remember, Titus is the guy that was drugged behind the horse. Jen says, yes, that's right. Kelly said, oh, thank you, wonderful ladies. And Jen says, okay. Jen says, you're welcome, Kelly. Jen says, yes, that's right. Roseanne says, no. Jen says, no. No, he did not. In fact, his story kind of explained more of the good man that Titus actually was. And let me look at the next question before I go on. Yeah, because the next question says, what did Javier say Titus was doing? He was actually doing two things for them. Titus was actually genuinely helping these workers out because, as we've learned, they kind of were, in a sense, they were kind of brought over kind of like you would human trafficking, except for it wasn't for sex, it was for labor. And they were promised that if they came over from Mexico, that they would not only receive jobs, but that they would be able to get papers for land. But what happened is their families were all divided and spread out amongst these farms, and they had this debt because in the end they made them pay for the travel, they made them pay for the food, so they were in huge debt. That's right, Roseanne. He was advocating for them. It says that he was not only, well, the illegal rodeos that they were having, all the money that came from that, he was helping to compensate upon their wages to help pay off their debts. But yes, he was also advocating with them against Beltro, which was the company that they were all working for. And he was helping them build a case against Beltro. All right, question 32. What did Javier say Titus did with the money made from the illegal rodeos? Well, I just told y'all. He helped pay off their debts. All right, question 33. What did Travis call Branch? When Branch showed up and got Travis out of the trailer, he then turned around and started locking the door. He put a chain lock around the door so Travis couldn't get back in. And Travis called him what? What did he call him? It was something from their past at school. Roseanne says quarterback. Jen says had to do with football. Yes, he called him the quarterback because that's the position he played. All right. What did Travis end up doing to Branch? When he realized that Branch was not playing and he was actually putting a lock on his trailer, RV, camper, whatever. Yes, Jen, he pulled his gun out on him. Well, who pulled a gun out on Travis? Yes, it was Vic. Roseanne and Jen and Roseanne said that. And you're right, Roseanne. That leads my next question. And that was, well, what did Branch do back to Travis for pulling a gun out on him? And you said it. You said he pitched to him. He punched him. Yeah. He let him have it. Just pow yow right there. That's right, Roseanne, Jen. He punched him. All right. So then, this to me was a classic line too. What did Branch say about being a quarterback to Travis? He says, I'm not a quarterback anymore. I'm the what? Jen says next sheriff. Roseanne says sheriff. You guys, I thought that was classic because in that moment, for the first time, I really kind of believed that maybe, just maybe, Branch was running for sheriff for Branch. Not for Daddy, but for Branch. Because he says, by the way, I'm not a quarterback anymore. I'm the next sheriff. And he said it with such, oomph, such confidence. Like he believed it himself. Everybody saying yes, yes. Jen says, I was waiting for Vic to say something. Yeah, true that though. All right, so now we have Walt. He's back with Cal. Now remember, Cal is the foreman that he originally talked to. He's the foreman that took them to the barracks where they learned that the workers were missing. So now he's come back to talk to Cal, and he does something to Cal to get him to talk. What did he do to Cal to get him to talk? Oh, thank you, Jen. You're so sweet. Jen says, hi, everyone watching. Please hit the thumbs up button. As my friend Ginger on Yarn Geek would say, thumbkins. Roseanne says, lasso to the horse. Yes, there Walt went again, all that sexy little lasso. And lassoed him, and so he's tied to the horse. In fact, the same horse that Titus had been tied to, so which was kind of a wild horse. And so, as we learned, who ended up tying Titus to that horse? Who killed Titus? Jen says, thanks, everybody. Yes, thank you, everyone. So who tied? Jen says, scrawny dude. That's Cal. Yeah. So, yes, Cal's the one who tied Titus to the horse. But we learned that he was also shot. Cal shot him. Oh, that's fine, Jen. She says, I can't remember his name. He. Roseanne says, I forgot his name. So his name is Cal. All right. But do you remember why he said that he shot Titus and tied him to the horse like that? It was really kind of two reasons. There was a main one, but all right. So that was kind of like the smaller end of it, Roseanne. Roseanne says he took his house away. That's right. Cal's family sold the farm. I think they said a couple years back, maybe like 3 or 4 years, 5 years, something like that. But Cal stayed on working, and part of it was because he didn't want to lose what his family had worked so hard for. So he wanted to stay a part of it. Titus was living in the house. So he wanted his house back. And yes, Jen. Jen says he wouldn't share any of the money. Roseanne says, right, Jen. Jen says, from the rodeos. That's right. The main reason was he found out what Titus was doing. He found out that Titus was taking all the money that was made off of those illegal rodeos, and he was giving it to the workers to help pay off their debts. And Cal was like, well, I work for you too. Why am I not getting any of that money? And of course, Titus' opinion was he was not, brought over here, and turned into basically a slave without any rights. I mean, the thing is these people were over here illegally. So it's not like they could go and complain to anybody. Because if they did, well, guess what? They'd get in trouble and be sent back. And then they really would be separated from their families. So they didn't have a leg to stand on. They didn't have anyone that they could go and complain to. But Titus was helping them, and Cal didn't need that kind of help. So basically, Cal got mad and angry, and, well, he shot Titus. And then he tied him to the back of the horse, or tied him to be drugged by the horse. All right. We got 2 more questions for this episode. Actually, 1 more question and 1 more thought. So question 39, where did Henry go? Who did Henry go see? Jen says Ada. Roseanne says Ada. Yes. He went to go see Ada. And why did he go see her? Jen says, oh, he cried too. And Jen says to apologize. So it was partly an apology, and it was also partly kind of like a warning. Roseanne says to let her know if Fels comes to see her, or that Fels is going to see her. Yeah, he told her there might be a detective that comes around and questions about that night. And he wanted her to know. And so Ada asked Henry this question. She says, what did the first warrior say to the Great Spirit? And this was his answer, and it kind of played out over different scenes and pictures, and of Walt releasing the wild horse and whatnot. But this is what he said. The first warrior looked out on the land that was his home. He saw the hills and the stars, and he was happy. And for giving him this home, the first warrior told the Great Spirit that he would fight and win many battles in his honor. But the Great Spirit said, no, do not fight for me. Fight for the tribe. Fight for the family born to you. Fight for the brothers you find. Fight for them. The Great Spirit said, for they are your home. And then I got emotional. That was a sweet, sweet scene. So, once again, another cool episode. Right, Roseanne? Roseanne says, wow. So, that is one thing that I love about the Indian culture. Like, they really fight for what's right, and they really fight for family. And yeah, it's spiritual, it's deep. All right, anybody have anything they want to add on that episode? Anything we maybe didn't mention or talk about? A scene that they wanted to elaborate on? A character you want to talk about? Henry going to Ada also, not only to kind of warn her, but it also makes me feel like that there's more foreshadowing that he had something to do with killing the man that killed Walt's wife. All right, everybody says no and they're good. All right, so episode 9 is called Tuscan Red. Are you guys crocheting right now? Are you working on something? If you are, shoot me a quick message what you're working on. I'm working on the bonus pocket shawl that I will be showing next Wednesday. Oh, sweet. Jen's working on the actual Longmire blanket. She's on row 47. So that's got you in part 8. All right. Roseanne says no resting in bed. I'm just glad you're hanging out with us. And Viola says yes, the virus shawl. I want to so try that, Viola. Those virus shawls are beautiful. Jen says, have you heard of the Alpine Stitch? Actually, I have, Jen. Is it Viola? Good, because I really want to try and make one of those. I actually have, it might be up in that black basket up there. I have a DK color yarn that I've got picked for the one I want to do. Jen, yes, I have. And actually, it's a stitch that I'm actually looking into for our blanket. Is that why you have, oh, wow, that hurt. Sorry. Is that why you've mentioned it? Viola says, also finished a Granny Meets Virus shawl. Where did I just hear that? Somebody else just did that, V. Maybe it was you. I have a note somewhere. I have a notebook that has future projects. And I want to write your name by it so that if I have questions, I can come back and ask you. So let me flip to my project book just real quick. Sorry, guys. Yes, right here. So I'm going to write your name beside it, Viola. So if I have questions, I can come ask you. Jen says, was it Fiber Spider? It might have been, because I just watched a bunch of his videos. And Viola says, Fiber Spider tutorial. Okay, cool. And Jen says, cool. Roseanne says, yes, fiber. Okay. Well, Let me actually write it with this pen here. So, yeah. Is that one easy as well, Viola? And you guys, I forgot to mention this earlier. I don't know if Christy is still with us. Christy's Creations. You know, they were out. They were without power. Oh, I had my hand on my pizza. Yay! I got pizza all over my arm. For 5 days last week. A little more complicated. Always had to watch when I switched to Granny. Okay. But his tutorials are usually really good, so I know I can follow it and get it. All right. Viola says you can. And just in case anyone else was is listening, a little more complicated. She says, always had to watch when I switched to Granny. All right. Cool, cool. All right. Question number 1, episode 9, Tuscan Red. Henry said Walt never says he wants anything. What 2 things did Henry make Walt say he wanted? Roseanne says to win. And Jen says sheriff job. Yes. He wanted him to admit that he wanted the sheriff job and that he wanted to win it. And does he? Does he say it? Roseanne says yes. Jen says yeah. Yes, he does. All right. Who did Branch pull over? Who did he pull over for speeding? Although I really don't know as though he was really pulling that person over or as if they were chasing him down. But Roseanne says Katie. Jen says Katie. Yes, it was Katie. How did Branch guarantee that he would see Katie again? What did he give her? Jen says gave her a ticket. Roseanne says the ticket for court. Yes, he gave her a speeding ticket. All right, so we have the house that is blown out, and we have a victim. They thought it was this man named Dolan, but it wasn't. Who was it? Do you know? Do you know who the victim was that was in the burned house? Roseanne says his brother. Jen says his brother Ethan. Yes, it was his brother Ethan. It was Dolan Lone Elk's brother. All right, question 5. What was Dolan protesting? They thought it was Dolan that was in there. And they thought that somebody had killed him because he was protesting something. Do you know what he was protesting? Roseanne says fracking. Yes, he was protesting a fracking site. All right, question number 6. Who did Dolan say knew about the methane problem? So there was methane, and it was an ongoing problem. Jen says, yes, Roseanne. Who did Dolan say knew about it? Because they were having to be careful. They had to make sure like the doors and the windows were open when they took their showers and stuff. Roseanne says the company owner. Kelly says, Roseanne, such language. Laugh out loud. Jen says, question mark. Roseanne says, oops. Yes, the company knew about it, but he was referring that all the Cheyenne people knew about it because Walt was concerned about everyone. And so Dolan was telling them, well, don't worry, all the Cheyenne know about it. But yes, you're so right, Roseanne. The company did too. 7, why did Doc Bloomfield want to see Walt? After he'd done the autopsy, why did he specifically want Walt to come see him? Jen says mayor. Roseanne says the alcohol level. And both of you are correct. So, first off, Doc Bloomfield wanted Walt to come because he wanted to make sure that Walt had all the details from the autopsy, and that was requested by the mayor. And Walt's like, well, why does the mayor care what I know? And it's because they knew that Walt was a big advocate for the res, and they didn't want him to, or they didn't want law enforcement to jump to any conclusions. And then the second thing was the fact that the explosion is not what killed Ethan. And you're right, Roseanne. It was because Ethan had so much alcohol in him. And Jen says he told him to stay atop of the death. Okay. All right. So, question 8. Why was there red paint on Ethan? Why was he painted from head to toe in red paint? What was the murderer trying to convey with that? All right. Jen says they painted him red to say that he's supposed to be Indian blood. Roseanne says so he can have more Indian blood in him. Yeah, they were actually saying, you're right, that he didn't have enough red in him. Okay. Even though he was full Indian, they were saying he didn't have enough red in him. And we're going to actually discuss in just a minute why they felt that. All right. We did learn it was a red oil-based paint. But we also discovered something else about Ethan, and we've already talked about it, that he was extremely intoxicated. So we're going to stop with that thought because that's where they stopped. Going into the next scene, where did Walt send Ruby and Branch? He sent them to go do something. Roseanne says to paint stores because he wanted them to find out the color of the paint. Jen says hardware. He wanted them to find the color of the paint and possibly who could have bought the paint. All right. What 2 reasons did Ethan's wife give that might have gotten Ethan killed? She said there were 2 reasons that might have gotten him killed. What were they? Roseanne says his honesty and her. All right. One of them was definitely her, for marrying her. And the other one was for not hiring people for the casino. He was being very strict on who he hired for the casino. Roseanne says yes. All right. Next question. Jacob called Branch and told him not to come out to where all this was going on. But Branch said that he wanted to because it seemed like it would be a good what? Jen says campaign strategy. And you're right. Branch said it would be a good opportunity. Yes, Roseanne, opportunity for votes. Yes. But Jacob didn't think so. He called it a political grenade, and he says, let Walt hang himself. But did Branch agree with him it was a political grenade? Jen, no. Roseanne, no. No. He did not agree with him on that. Jacob told Walt, okay, so now we have Jacob and Walt talking. Okay, Jacob called Branch. Now we physically have Jacob and Walt talking. Jacob told Walt that if he had a job applicant list, it would be quite confidential. And Walt said, what? Back to Jacob. Jacob says his list would be quite confidential, and Walt comes back and says, well, that's fine. I'll get a quite what? Yes, Jen, a subpoena. So Jacob says if he had an applicant list, it would be quite confidential. And Walt says, okay, well, I'll get quite a subpoena. Yes, Roseanne, a subpoena. All right. 16. What did Vic tell Sean to do if he wanted to walk out of the riot? So remember, Sean has called Vic, and Vic and Walt are approaching the riot. Sean is caught up in the riot in his truck and can't get out. So Vic goes in and she opens the door and she does something to him. And he's like, what? And she's like, if you want to get out of this, you'll do it. Yes. Jen says, be arrested. So yes, the answer is be arrested. Roseanne says, put the cuffs on. Yes, to walk out in handcuffs. All right. The next question. What did Dolan chant on the top of the truck? He jumps up after they've walked Sean off in handcuffs. He jumps up on the top of Sean's truck and he starts chanting something. Do you remember what it was? Roseanne says, free out land. Oh, free our land. Jen says, down with fracking something. He actually was shouting, "This is our song, stand forever strong. This is our song, stand forever strong." Who else did Walt arrest that day? Besides Dolan, who else did Walt arrest? Jen says Henry. Roseanne says the doctor. And the answer is Henry. Because Walt says, and Roseanne says, yes, Jen. Because Walt says, is there anyone else? And basically Henry walks up and says him. And he holds his hands out like that for Walt to handcuff him. And Walt did arrest him. And so as we've learned, what really killed Ethan was alcohol poisoning. Was Ethan a drinker? Roseanne, no. Jen says no. No, he was not a drinker. So if he's not a drinker and he died of alcohol poisoning, we learned that somebody ended up forcing alcohol down him. And so what did Walt call his death? He gave his death a specific name. What kind of crime did he call it? Jen says question mark. Roseanne says question mark. Walt actually called it a hate crime. All right. What did Dolan and Henry? Now, Dolan and Henry are in the jail cell. Walt's on the other side talking to him. And Walt is revealing to Dolan that his brother did not die because of the explosion. He died because somebody forced alcohol down him and painted him red. And Dolan and Henry got upset with Walt and they accused him of doing something. When he tried to make it seem like it wasn't because of the explosion, that somebody had actually painted him and forced alcohol down him, Henry and Dolan got upset because they thought Walt was doing something. What did they think he was doing? They thought he was putting the blame for Ethan's death on somebody else. Jen says alcohol poisoning. So they accused Walt of siding with Newitt Energy Company. That's the company that was responsible for this methane. And so they accused him of siding with the energy company and trying to put the blame of Ethan's death on someone else. All right. So, Katie and Branch. When Katie and Branch were in the cab, what did Branch ask Katie if she was going to do? Roseanne says, oh boy. Jen says, yes. You know, when it showed the bar scene, before they ever showed Katie being drunk and dancing, I just knew it. I just had this feeling it was her. And then when Branch saw her, he was like, you know, give me 4 more drinks. He was going to catch up with her. But they're in the cab, and Branch asked her a question. He asked her if she was going to do something. What did he ask her? Roseanne says, eat the crust. He asked her if she was going to throw up. And she came back and she asked him something. Do you know what she asked him? Roseanne says, right. Do you remember what she asked him? Just her. Oh, kiss her. No, she asked him, where did you get those eyes? He's like, are you going to throw up? And she's like, where'd you get those eyes? Those two. Jen says yes. All right, so we're going to put that scene on hold because they did. And we're going to come back to Ethan's wife. Walt and them are back now talking to Ethan's wife. And why did Ethan's wife say someone painted him red? And we've kind of already touched that. Because he wasn't Indian enough for marrying a black woman. All right. And then, okay. So then it flashes back to Katie and Branch. Katie sprayed Branch with a hose. That was so great. And then she told him that he looked what? And Deborah DeWitt says drunk talk, right? And Jen says he was the whitest Indian they'd ever known. Yes, you're right, Jen. That is what his wife was saying. And it wasn't just like his peers. It was his very own family as well. That was the saddest part about it all. All right, so on a lighthearted note, Katie is spraying Branch with the water hose. And I knew then what we all knew was going to happen. I mean, come on, you got water involved, you know? But what did she tell him? He looked what? She was spraying him down with the water hose and told him he looked something. Jen says sexy. She actually told him he looked drunk. Like she wasn't drunk. But she says, you look drunk. And so then I just, for number 27, I just wrote, Jen says, that's what I would have said. So for 27, I didn't really write a question. I just wrote Katie plus Branch, exclamation point, what? Question mark. Because, well, as we know, Katie said that that was the best mistake she'd ever made. So we know what happened. And then they're having breakfast together. All right. Who did the FBI say killed Ethan? Jen says, I knew they couldn't stay away from each other. It was inevitable. But with that being said, I kind of jumping a smidgen ahead, I do love the conversation that Branch had with Walt. I do think Katie's lost. And she's just not in a good place right now. Yes, Jen, the FBI accused Ethan's brother of killing him, which is Dolan. What did the FBI actually call Dolan? Roseanne says, question mark. They called him a domestic terrorist, is what they called him. A domestic terrorist. What did Branch say should be his new campaign slogan? He was talking, Jen says, yep. He's talking back with Katie now. They're now back in the kitchen at her house. And she's saying that was the best, worst mistake she'd ever made. And she said something else, and then Branch said, that should be my new campaign slogan. Branch Connolly, blank, blank. Roseanne says, hate if the dog. Jen says, I knew you was going to ask this. Roseanne says, hate. Roseanne says, hate. Yeah. So he took her words and he said, my new campaign slogan should be Branch Connolly, not so bad. Dang it, y'all, I keep putting my arm in my pizza. All right, I'm going to just move it. All right. So Walt and Matthias end up going to see the same person. Who do they end up going to see? Hair. Do you know who they both end up going to go see? Jen says, brother. No, now remember, Matthias is the head of the Indian police force, the Res Patrol. They go see Ethan and Dolan's father. And they're both there for answers. Matthias kind of feels like he's got to protect Ethan's dad from Walt. And Ethan's dad's like, no. He's got a job to do. Let him do his job. But we learn that Ethan rejected his own dad from getting a job at the new casino. And why? What did his dad fail? Roseanne said a drug test. Yes. His dad failed the drug test. And so Ethan denied even his own dad from getting a job at the casino. And his dad said rejection. It may stir hard feelings. And where does it stir hard feelings at? Rejection stirs hard feelings where? Even if we were to get rejected, it stirs hard feelings. And where does it hit us most? Yes, Roseanne, in the soul. He said rejection stirs hard feelings in the soul. And so Ethan's dad is known as Mr. Lone Elk. And he said he felt shame, but he should have felt what? When his son denied him a job for not passing the drug test, he felt shame, but what he should have felt was what? You're right, Roseanne. She said proud, question mark. Yes, he should have felt proud of his son for basically the integrity that he raised his son. Now, we learned that some of these people who had been denied jobs because of failing a drug test, it wasn't because they were like doing like drugs. It's because of some of the rituals that they did that involved certain spices and drugs and whatnot. That's what caused them to fail it, for basically doing what was part of their culture. And so here Ethan was denying them a job, basically kind of in result of the rituals. But Walt told Mr. Lone Elk that there was something else that could feel a lot like rejection, not just being denied a job, but something else that our children could do that would somewhat feel like a rejection. And what did he say that was? And particularly in Mr. Lone Elk's case. Roseanne said, marry outside their race or religion. Yes, that it could feel like rejection if our children marry someone we didn't approve of. And as we all know, Mr. Lone Elk did not approve of Ethan's wife. So basically, we now know that basically it was Mr. Lone Elk who killed his son. And once Matthias even realizes this, what does he ask Walt? In regards to Mr. Lone Elk, what does he ask Walt about? Because basically, Mr. Lone Elk has now kind of confessed. And, Matthias is, he's still about doing the right thing too. Roseanne says, question mark. He says, who's going to arrest him, Sheriff? You or me? So I was kind of happy to see Matthias be on the same page as Walt. All right. Just a couple more questions we've got for this episode. So who ended up calling the FBI? Roseanne says yes. So who ended up calling the FBI in the beginning? Who even brought the FBI into all this? Roseanne says Katie. No, it wasn't Katie. Jen says question mark. It was Sean. It was Vic's husband. He did. He works for the company. Jen says yes. All right. Do you remember what the specific color of the paint was called that was used on Ethan? It was the name of this episode. Jen, yes. Roseanne, you both got it. Tuscan Red. All right. Oh, this was funny. How did Walt say that he was going to talk to Dolan now that he was in FBI custody? He said he was just going to go in there and what? Jen says, ask him questions. But how, and Roseanne says, question mark, how is he going to get past the FBI to even get to Dolan to talk to him? He said he was just going to ask nicely. Yes, Roseanne, ask him nicely. What did Jacob tell Branch would help the election in his favor? If he did what? How could Branch tip the election in his favor? Jacob told there was something he could do. Roseanne says, get dirt on Walt. Yes. He told him if he could get dirt on Walt or the Longmire family, find out Longmire secrets. Yes. Do you think Branch will do it? Jen says no. Roseanne says yes. As of right now, I would say no, just because of how it ended. And that was question 40, and it's not really a question. It just says conversation between Walt and Branch. I put a dash, then I put what? Question mark. How about that? That conversation. Right, Roseanne. Katie did tell him about his mom, about her mom being murdered. But he also told Walt that he knew about it. And Walt was like, you don't know nothing. And so Branch told him. But he also told him that he would never walk out of that room and mention that Katie's mom had been murdered. So what do you think about Branch telling Walt that Katie needs him, that she put her whole life on hold for him when he needed her, and now she needs him? Do you think he's being genuine? Do you think it's a tactic to get Walt to walk away from being sheriff? A combination of both? Roseanne says all the above. Jen says, I think Branch respects Walt. I do too. And clearly he loves Katie. He cares very deeply for her. And he can tell she's hurting, because the Katie he knows would not cut loose like that and just go get drunk and, be so careless. It was just completely out of her character. So she's spiraling right now. And yes, she's lost, confused, angry. And Branch cares about her, and I agree. He has a lot of respect for Walt. So, well, that was all the questions I have. Any other thoughts on that episode? Anything you want to predict that's coming up? All right. Well, the new tutorial, Jen says, I don't think so. Well, the new tutorial for the Longmire blanket will come out Monday. It is very simple. So Roseanne says, Walt getting mad that they're back together again. Yeah, I see that coming. I think he's going to be harder on Branch. Of course, we're sitting 1 week away from the election. So the election's close. Maybe even in the next episode. Who knows? I definitely think the election will happen before the end of the season, which we're getting very close to the end of season 2. But, yeah. Definitely won't be happy, that's for sure. And it does put Katie in a hard spot. Like she was telling Branch. You know, sometimes I do butt dial you, but that one time I didn't. I was truly calling you. It is a tough place. And he's probably the one person she could have really leaned on in finding out the information about her mom. But between the election, he's not the best person. So she is truly lost. But let's see. Jen says, but we probably won't find out who wins till season 3. So true. Touche. You're probably very correct. Thank goodness we don't have to wait a while for the next season to come out. So the next edition of the Longmire blanket will come out Monday. And as I was saying, it's a very simple, short section. So those of you that are trying to catch up, it will definitely help get you there. And yeah, I only have this section and the next section done. So unless I get to work on the next section before next Friday, then I'll consider showing my blanket. If not, you're seeing it in the tutorials. So, well, up to that point. But anyway. All right. Well, this again has been fun. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, and I look forward to next Friday. All right. Well, have a good night. Be joyful. Find your everyday joy. Make your own joyful creations, and have a wonderful week. Bye, you guys.